Zenobia.
Thank you, Katrina. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Oh, the pleasure is entirely ours. So just before we start getting into all your wonderful work, Zenobia, could you just tell me, how did you come to realize that you deserve only the best?
That's an excellent question. And
Mhm.
I think, in terms of what I do today, that was not the case that I realized that I only deserve the best. I'm going to address that in a moment. I just had a flashback to my home as a child. And I think my father was most instrumental in helping all of us. I'm the oldest of five. And I think
Wow.
he was very instrumental in I believe in helping all of us, but I know for me in particular that I should always put my best foot forward. I should strive for the best, and I should look for the best. And best did not have to mean we were not a wealthy family. So best did not, in our case, ever mean, the most expensive or the most glittery or anything like that, but just your basic ethical integrity, effort types of situations. Strive for the best
Wow.
grades. Strive for the best, and before the grades, for the best learning. My father was very key on learning and education, and he wanted the best for his children. He happened to be a laborer, but he was a very smart man. And he was, to some degree, he also led the way for me to grab a hold of lifelong learning. And so I answer you that way from my childhood. So that propelled me forever, for whatever I did, to reach for the best and desire the best. But in terms of what I do today in health and wellness, I didn't come into health and wellness in terms of what was best for me necessarily. I worked for a teaching hospital, a very leading, at the time, it was one of the leaders of teaching hospitals. It's called, today it's MedStar, a part of MedStar, but it was the Washington Hospital Center in Washington, D.C., and I was gifted to be extended the invitation to become a part of the Public Relations and Development Department. And I just want to pause here for just one moment. I know I'm really rattling on and not waiting to hear from you, but I just want to give some kudos to the woman who hired me. She was very dedicated to women. And that was back in the early and mid 70s. And that's when I joined the team. So I don't know how long she had been doing this at the time, but I've maintained a 30-plus year relationship with this woman. And I just want to honor her in my own thoughts and to our listeners. She was so instrumental for all of us. She was dedicated to having a female staff in this leading hospital. Some of my charges were to walk with the media through operations, to be there as their conduit between the physicians and our administration. And I remember watching an open heart surgery. That was, I just couldn't believe it. I was in my 20s and kind of mid-20s, and I'm seeing this open heart surgery take place. And at first I was scared because I thought it was going to be like television with blood everywhere, but they really maintain and contain, and it wasn't like that at all. And I was just drawn into that. I also had the responsibility for organizing and conducting the first health fair of the hospital.
Wow.
Excuse me.
Yeah, but let me just pick up on a bit of what you've been talking about, because
Yes.
what really struck a chord with me was when you talked about your childhood and the influence of your dad, and how he just asked you to look out for the best.
Yes.
Like, we should look out for the best and expect the best, shouldn't we? And also what you said about the best not necessarily being what was most expensive.
Yes. Absolutely.
Right?
I
Yeah.
think that
And
just. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
I just think that ingrains a real, not just sense, but being of character. You know,
Mm.
I just credit my dad with so much. He's deceased now, but I
Mm.
just credit him so much with, and both my parents, but particularly my dad. As I reflect on this, he was very famous for. He didn't say a lot, but when he said something, it was just so germane, and it was so for me, life crystallizing. One of the things I remember him saying many times was that, in one way or another, I'm just going to paraphrase,
Yeah.
that I was not any better
Mm.
than anyone else, but they were no better than me.
Mhm.
We were on
Wow.
equal plane. And that, I can't tell you how much that carried me throughout my life,
Mm.
particularly as I would go into many situations, including my graduate education, where I would be either one of few or the only minority, and many times be hit with I'm not taking this to the race issue, but be hit with prejudices, uninformed
Mm.
responses, uninformed comments and actions, and I was
Mm.
able to not be damaged by any of that.
Yeah. And what, I mean, you have your dad as a big influence in your life, and then you also talked about your boss.
Oh, yes.
Um, yeah. So, I mean, you started off in the media or in this hospital. But how did you come really to be so interested in not just the hospital health, but health and wellness in general?
But that's the thing. Because of the hospital,
Mhm.
I did, and at the time, I didn't really realize the strength of this and the massiveness of this. But in addition to doing the health fair, I
Mhm.
also would go out into the community and conduct career workshops. Career workshops,
Oh.
so educating students and others that might be interested in various careers in health. But it was the
Mm.
health fair in particular, because we brought people in for the basic testings, their eyes, their blood pressure. They did something with their feet. The physicians did something with their feet. Uh, the various testings that you could do outside of a clinic situation. And
Mhm.
I would see the, what's the word that I'm looking for? People were very, I can't think of the word, but people were very needful of, as they are
Mm.
today, of some interventions in their lives. And, folks with very bad vision, folks with very high blood pressure. Uh,
Mm.
uh, I think they did a test for the diabetes, for the blood sugar, very high blood sugar levels. And today we are in an epidemic situation when it comes to some of these same health issues that I've mentioned. And so I began to see, not at the hospital, but as time went on, including an experience that I had with having anemia, that
Mm.
people could change their patterns with behavior, nutrition, exercise modifications, with supplementation, nutritional supplementation, and be be the best that they possibly could be. And my personal experience with that was, again, with my anemia, my iron deficiency anemia. I had done all that the doctor said to do, and nothing was changing. And,
Wow.
I was eating the liver. I was taking the supplements over the counter. I was taking supplements that were prescription based, and nothing was happening. And all into the point, I'm carrying this deficiency into my marriage and into my childbearing years. And it was with my second child. I'm making a bed, leaning over one bed after I make it in order to get enough energy to do the second bed. When I met someone who talked to me about taking ownership for my own health, and that she thought that she had something that would help me. Now, I just thought, now what in the world could she have? Because I've tried everything that there is. But lo and behold, because she said that, you try this, and if after a month of taking it on a regular basis, you feel no different, then you will get all of your money back. And so I said, I can't lose with that. So I did. I subscribed to that program, and I tell you, in 3 days, I felt better. And after about 6 weeks, I went and had my blood panel taken, and I almost fell over because it was all in the normal range. So I think, to answer your question specifically, I am dedicated to helping as many people as I can with the education that I can to take ownership. Of course, you have to work with your physician or your other healthcare practitioner or practitioners. But I love it when I see that people don't just take, a directive, and if that doesn't go the way it should, that they would give up. Also, I encourage people to ask questions. Don't just let the physician or your other healthcare practitioner dictate what is going to happen with your life. I've had incidents wherein I was told that I had ulterior motives for wanting to have an additional diagnosis or diagnostic treatment. And I would just insist that they go the extra mile, or, we are here in a situation where we have alternatives. I could go to another physician. So you don't let anyone come between what it is that you want to have happen, even if you don't know what's going on. Always get another opinion, at least one. I remember having a breast exam, and I found a lump, and they told me they couldn't see me for another month or so, and I said, there's no way that's going to happen. So I packed up my stuff, and I tried to reason with them on the phone. That wasn't happening. I shared with them that I had friends in my life who I'd lost to breast cancer of recent time, and I needed to know what was going on. So I packed up my books and my little office business that I was working on, and I went to the office, and I, called the person who was in charge of the scheduling aside so I wouldn't embarrass her in front of all these people sitting in the waiting room, and I just said to her, I have come, and I am not leaving until I'm seen today. And said, okay. She said, I'm not sure when I can work you in, but we will. And so after about 3 hours, I was prepared to stay all day long and all night if I needed to.
Yeah, but this is also about demanding the best, isn't it?
Yes,
it's about
It really
knowing
is.
that you deserve the best and then demanding it.
I didn't think of it in that term. In those terms, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. And what struck me also from what you told us about was that you had to to go through several days, but the woman who recommended the supplement said that you should do a whole month of it, right? So
Well, she said that many people, most people, a month. Yes, that's right.
So when we do something on a regular basis, I believe that this is when the real change can happen. And I know that you are very big on what shall I say, persistence and on routine. So maybe you could share a bit with us what you would recommend for people that we do perhaps as a morning routine or anything else that we can really do to boost our own health and wellness?
Well, I certainly can.
Great. Do you have a morning routine, Zenobia?
I do. I absolutely do. And I can't say it's without fail, but it's 99.9% without fail. And I don't know how everyone else wakes up, but I typically, I don't know, it's like I'm in sort of a fog. I'm waking, but I'm not totally alert. But as I'm waking, I'm thinking about my day a little bit, but more than that, I'm thinking about my Creator. And I'm thanking God. You know, if we want to talk a little bit about mind and body and health,
do. Yeah.
I'd like to go there for what I do. And I think about, there's a scripture in the Bible in Ephesians, and it talks about putting on the whole armor of God. And I'm not thinking totally like, you know, with what I've just said to you, but I am putting on those pieces, and it's like a warrior. I mean, and I'm not trying to go to war, but the day that comes, we don't know what the day is going to bring. And so the first thing I do is I thank God for caring for me through the night, and for waking me up, and for the fact that I can breathe and move. And I begin to put on those pieces of armor that is talked about in Ephesians. And I won't go through all of that here. If anyone's interested, they can look at that. But it begins to center me. I can't center myself. I lived for 28 years thinking I could, and learned that I could not. It was not up to me. I was not the captain of my ship. As independent as I am, as opinionated as I used to be, and I still am very strong in my beliefs, whatever that might be. And I don't just, mean in terms of, quote, religious beliefs, but in all beliefs and positions, I learned that I could not. And I didn't fall on my face necessarily. It's just that I speak like everybody else. What is the purpose of life? What is the meaning of life? Why am I here? And I came out to believe in Jesus. But anyway, so from that, I start stretching. I think it's very important to stretch the body. And I stretch in bed. I begin my stretching routine in bed.
Well, so do I.
So do you?
It's delicious. Yeah, it's delicious, isn't it?
Yes, I don't just jump out of bed and then begin to stretch. I begin to stretch in bed. And I don't know, I just, from the feet on up, and I elongate the body. And I don't do the very same routine every day, but the stretching in the bed is in the bed every day. And I just enjoy it. It just seems to lubricate. It certainly untangles. And then when I do get up and I do whatever bathroom duties I'm going to do, I'll have a drink. And I'll either have room temperature water, plain water, or I'll have apple cider vinegar with water and a little honey. Or there's another drink that I make with one of my supplements. It's a hydrator, and I'll take like a half of a serving of that and put it in a glass of tepid water, along with some cayenne
Mm.
and turmeric, uh, and it's just delicious. Both that and the apple cider vinegar is like, and sometimes I'll do water and lemon, sometimes alone, but most often with a little honey and maybe some cayenne pepper. Did I say
Mm.
paprika before? Because I didn't mean
No,
paprika. I meant
you did say
cayenne.
cayenne, yes.
Okay, okay.
And does that set you up for the day then? Do you feel energized, or
I do feel
what is the
energized.
point to that?
I do feel energized, and I feel, I don't. It's just. I guess energized is the best word. It's because it does
Right.
give me a boost. It gives me a boost
Mm.
until I have breakfast, and I will have breakfast whether it's food that I chew or food that I juice, and
Mm.
so that's my routine.
Wow. So do you think it's important to set up like both mind and body for the day?
I do. I really do. And I don't know, everybody would have whatever they might do. But in addition to me, I did not share this. In addition to me having that time where I'm thanking God in the bed, I also go and I have what I call a quiet time wherein I'll read a passage from the Bible and maybe even journal, depending on what I'm receiving from that passage for the day, and it really sets me up to receive whatever comes, whatever
So
happens that day.
right. It's not just about having.
It's not just what.
It's not just about having a body that is totally functional. It's also getting your mind on board, getting your spirit with you.
Yes, indeed, absolutely.
So
And
is that something you help other women with in your health programs, in your wellness coaching?
I have, but it was more during the time that I did more specifically with when I dealt more specifically with life coaching. However, when it comes up, yes, I mean, it's something that I will help. It's not like it's a part of a paid program. I am just always open to sharing with people, and particularly women, in any way that I can. And I don't charge for most of my services. I am just here. I've had too many people to help me, and I know I also have to make a living, but at the same time, I will debunk making a living for helping. I'm not, again, even as my state today, I am not wealthy, but I'm in a position where I can do that, and I love doing that. I've called myself a servant leader, and so I serve first. And
that is definitely what we are catching here, is that you serve people. And I know that you are a firm believer also in a fresh start, right? Could you talk to us a bit about what you mean when you say a fresh start?
Yes, actually, that's not my term. Nidra Sar is the creator and designer of the Fresh Start Cleansing Program. It's a healthy and health building cleansing program. And Nidra has trained a number of us over the more than 20 years that she's been promoting the Fresh Start program. So I am just a Fresh Start coach. And Fresh Start, it's available to us in two different modes. Some people are deciding to do a 1-week cleanse. Others are deciding to do a 5-week cleanse, and that's where Nidra actually is the designer of the 5-week cleansing program. And that's when you are really going to see a change in your health. Not that you won't with the 1 week, but the 5-week is the way it was designed, and people are reporting not only an increase in their energy, but they're reporting the fact that their blood sugar and their insulin levels are dropping, that those who have had GERD and any type of acid reflux are having a decreased occurrences with that. Stress is decreasing, and oh, ladies, stress is something that we really want to get a hold of. Their clothes are fitting better. It's just one of the things that I know we're running short on time here a little bit, but the best way to get a better idea, is to go and watch a presentation, a little video. If you would go to ZenobiaBailey.com and in the search bar put in Fresh Start Program, it will take you to all that you would need to, the information that you would need to get a better idea. But just real quick, the Fresh Start Program helps you to remove foods and lifestyle practices that have contributed to diminishing our body's ability to function at its highest level. That's giving ourselves the best again. Replacing poor food choices with more nutrient-dense choices. It helps us to restore our sense of well-being, and over time, it helps to rebuild your body's health.
So, but when you say cleanse, I'm almost frightened. I'm thinking, wow, will I be able to do that? Cleanse means perhaps I won't be able to eat anything. It means fasting. It means a lot of stress for me, knowing that, oh, wow, this will be so hard. Am I right in thinking like that?
Yes, yes, yes. You know, I think it's been a while, but I think maybe I had at least some of those very same thoughts. But on this program, you are eating all the time, but you're eating what is good for you. And yes, it's a lot of vegetables, especially the first week, raw vegetables and fruit. But it's the whole cadre, it's designed by colors, and you will just be amazed at the fact of how you start to crave. After 3 or 4 days, you start to crave the good food. I mean, crave it. Not to say that you're not eating well now. That's not the point. But you're starting to get rid of the sugars. You don't want the sugars. And you're not going to be hungry at all.
Circling back to what you said right at the beginning here, when you were in need of help with your deficiencies in your supplementation, could you talk to us a bit about your free gift, please? Because you're gifting us really a guide, aren't you?
I am. Yes, what happened, let me just precede that a little bit. And yes, when I talked about my deficiency and how the prescriptions and over-the-counters didn't help. But what I didn't know, and what I came to learn, was that it really does make a difference in terms of how supplements are designed. FDA does not, unfortunately, FDA does not oversee vitamins and nutritional supplements. And so many companies are really skimming and skipping and adding things that ought not to be a part of them, including contaminants. The company, now my deficiency was corrected years before I started my health and wellness business. But when I started the health and wellness business, I of course, I would want to give, again, the best, be able to provide, or at least an option for the best. Now, no one has to buy the supplements that I recommend, but they should know that they are not necessarily the best and probably aren't. And, as I speak with you, I'm remembering before I started my business, I remember on the Today Show, they did a testing between the company and this is the company that I recommend, and the company that I am a subsidiary of, the Shaklee Corporation. It's a natural supplement company where they go beyond organic. and they self-impose the testing themselves. Whereas other companies may not. Shaklee conducts over 100,000 quality tests every single year, and they screen for more than 350 contaminants, pesticides, and impurities on every new botanical ingredient that they use. And this is, I just, not that I had to know that, but because this is what was happening, this is why their product worked, and it was their multivitamin. And so on the Today Show, I'm sorry?
Yeah, I've just got a question, because a very basic question. If we eat healthily, why do we really need to supplement our food? Could you talk to us about that, Zenobia, please?
Yes. That's an excellent question, but I still want to get back to the Today Show when I answer this.
Yeah, okay.
That's an excellent question. And the reason that we need to do that is that our foods, the soils in our food, are not what they used to be. They have been depleted. And then the way food is stored and shipped, we don't get the nutrients that we used to get, or that people used to get 30, 40, 50 years ago. And so that's why we need to supplement. And the other reason is, in order to help maintain these bodies and keep them functional, we are unable to eat all of the food that we need in order for our bodies to function the best at their most productive levels. So have I addressed that sufficiently?
Yes, totally. And I like the way you said that it's so that we can get the best out of life, really.
Right. And you see, for instance, in Shaklee's multivitamin alone, it's hard for me to even share with you. It'd take about 40 minutes to share everything, so I know I can't. But in terms of what's in the vitamins, it's like in terms of the iron, in the iron formula for women, and that's one of the products that helped me so much was the multivitamin, the Vitalia. You have to eat 6 cups of raisins, 6 cups, just to get the iron. In order to get the B6 that's in the Shaklee multivitamin, you'd have to eat 17 bananas to get. We're eating, and we're eating well, but we have the nutrient depletion, and then you can't eat the amount to get the biotin. You have to eat a dozen eggs to get the calcium. Well, that wouldn't be too hard. 3 slices of cheeses, that would be okay. To get the chromium, 15 glasses of grape juice, and I'll take 1 more to get the phosphorus. You'd have to eat, and again, this wouldn't be too bad, a cup of cooked soybeans. But and you have to eat this every day, every single day. And that's just a smidging of what you'd really have to have every single day. Excuse me. But I also want to get back to my little talk on the Today Show, and that is that I saw them do a demonstration of the Shaklee multivitamin and another leading vitamin, and they just put them both in water to show the disintegration, to mimic the disintegration to the stomach. And the Shaklee Vitalia actually totally disintegrated in about 16, 17 minutes. And the other one was just a lump. That lump was full of tar and petroleum and was not able to break down. The delivery system of Shaklee's products also goes to the part of the stomach and the digestive system that it needs to go to. So that's big. this is information that I would go into even more detail with my customers and clients. But that gives you a quick overview.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Zenobia, for sharing all this with us. I know that your life has been turned around by supplementation and your life choices, really, and that has led you to become this wonderful health and wellness coach. So thank you for sharing all that with us today, Zenobia.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you. And I hope you have a wonderful day, and that our summit, I know our summit, it will just continue to be the highlight of many of our lives. Thank you, Katrina.
Thank you.